Vestapol and its equivalent tuning aptly named Vestapol. Tune made popular by guitar giant Elizabeth Cotten, and it has all the syncopation and subtlety of the blues guitar that one would ever need to know in 3 parts. The tuning and tune also gives us an interesting perspective into the evolution of the blues guitar. It's kind of a slippery history. Vestapol was originally written by this guy, Henry Worrell. He was born in Liverpool, England, but he immigrated to Cincinnati, Ohio, and eventually became a guitar instructor and married one of his best students. Whoops, it's kind of weird. Well, I wouldn't be surprised that this is the first time you've heard of Henry Worrell. There are a few pieces that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Spanish thing then.
One, the Spanish Fandango, and the same day that tune was copywritten was this tune, Sebastopol. Was a name title to commemorate the Russian city during the Crimean War. See how much weird stuff you get to learn when you learn old music? Wait, how do the songs of 1860 classical guitar enter into the musical syntax of would-be blues players? The answer might be in your guitar case. I'm gonna go check. Take a minute. Yep. He's here. Okay. If you have an old guitar like this, in the case of these old guitar cases, was almost always this. Oh my God, can you imagine reading this? Can anybody here read this? Oh God. I promise you my tab is easier to read than this. But this was a very popular tune. Henry Worrell, he had the same publisher as Stephen Foster. These tunes were regularly put into like music books that were regularly shipped with catalog era guitars. There's the theory, there's the running theory. Now this isn't assuming that necessarily every musician was able to read music, but whether they could read the music or were around people who were reading music, these tunes were very popular and were getting around the guitar circles of the time. With that being the case, there is kind of a problem with teaching Vestapol. So because it's like this living and breathing folk piece, loosely based off of like pre-written song, what's the right version? What's the way to teach this? And that's why there's a million versions out there, and they're all slightly different, which I think is an important aspect to like lean into. But I also think it's important to just like hyper focus on some very cool idioms that Libba was able to share through her music. You know, at worst, doing that will get you out of your old habits, and at best, it may make some of her habits yours. The version I want to check out here is actually a live version from Elizabeth Cotten in concert, and we're going to start at around 40 seconds. I think the clip starts kind of halfway through the first part, so we got to kind of start in the middle here, but this is the first part of the tune. Alright, so the first part here, all you got to do is, keep that thumb moving and get these slides going first. Everything's in between the thumb motion there. Until that last hammer-on. And the hard part about getting hammer-ons like that with this style is being able to drop the hammer part of the hammer with the dropped thumb. That's tricky, because what you want to do is stop moving your thumb. You screw up the whole pattern. Then there's this cool little walk up. It's into your 4 chord there. That's your G chord in this tuning. And you'll notice the other part is just the same as the first part. You're just adding this walk into the 4 chord. Then you go back to this, which is cool. It's nothing new there. It's just a quick little 4 chord. And she does it again. And then we walk down to our 5 chord and do the same thing. whole part nice and slow for you. Part is when she goes high. The tricky part too is there's this grouping of 6, and I always knew there was something weird about this part, and that's what it is. There's this added 2 beats, so it's something that you'll just start to get a feel for, but it is a grouping of 6 notes. So if you're feeling clumsy on that, that's normal. I would just get the feeling of the tune in your head. I try not to count it. This next part, it's pretty similar to what you do in the first section. But then you jump up. And that's basically the section. The ending's very similar from the ending of the first part, so I'll just play this whole section here nice and slow. Walk into this 4 chord for the last part. This last part here, she's really just walking down from the 4 chord to the 1 chord, and then we're going to walk down to the 5 chord at the end there. And she's just outlining it with some really, really cool Liba-specific rhythms. It was really hard to figure out what she was doing, but I'm really glad it did because it really changed the way this tune feels to me. So we walk up to this 4 chord, and we just move down to the 1 chord, and the kind of weird thing about that is you're starting your thumb pattern off of 5 on that 1 chord because you're walking down, so that's kind of weird feeling. You move to the 6th string on that last measure. If you wanted to play this, you know, kind of like a recording. So the structure of this, we move this 4 chord twice. And then we walk down to that 5 chord just like we did before. Whoops. That's actually not the ending she played. If you want to learn the actual ending she played, it's in the tab over on the Patreon. This whole tune will be tabbed out over there. For now, I'll just do this whole thing slow. You can play along if you want, but if you want that printable tab, check it out over on the Patreon. It's the best way to support what I'm up to here. And anyway, thanks for being here.